So I've been doing hair now for the past 10 years, and in the 10 years, I have definitely collected a lot of shears, a few shears. And recently, I feel like I've finished the collection of things that I need. And I figured I would take you guys through a little binder tour of all the different shears that I have, what I use them for, what I don't use them for, and what I think would be great for people to have starting out, and which ones I started with, and which ones I've ended up with, and how I bought them over the years. So just to open this up, I've got a few different ones in here. So I have one side that has one of my razors. I have two razors, one of my razors, and then all of my texturizing shears. And then the other side that are all of my regular blades, and then another razor. The first shear that I ever bought was this double swivel 7-inch shear. This was my very first shear that I got. I really liked it because I thought this was a really great shear to start with because I was really trying to figure out how to hold a scissor. And when you're first learning how to hold a scissor, a swivel is really nice because you can literally hold this any way. It's just very ergonomic and it's really great for your hands. And you can really just kind of move it around a lot. And you can see it's a double swivel, so it swivels one way here, and then it also swivels this way. Personally, I would not buy a single swivel because usually it's just this guy, or it's one of these, I can't remember, but a single swivel just doesn't do it for me. A double swivel is really where I go. I also had gotten a pair of texturizers as well. So this was my very first pair of texturizers. And let me tell you one thing, all of my scissors that I've gotten, all my shears, including my razors, are all from Hanzo. The reason why I have gotten them, everything from Hanzo, is just simply the service and the convenience of it. They have people coming around, you can send these in and get them sharpened from the company. But a little story about these is I actually dropped these at one point. I dropped these and chipped the end of this. And I sent it into Hanzo. And basically what they did is, so this is technically like 1/2 shorter than what it would be, but they just smoothed it out to make it into like back to the way it's supposed to be. So there's these shears that I got, a good texturizer. And the reason why I call these a good texturizer is because they don't pull the hair. So a good texturizer will not pull your hair, okay? So those were the first two shears that I got, and I would highly recommend just investing in a really good new pair of shears. The other great thing about Hanzo is that they have a pay-as-you-go program. So you can get brand new shears and not have to pay out the ass for them. Because even paying like 150, 250, for a new pair of shears can be kind of a lot. But if you get, one pair of shears from them, you can have a pretty low payment for a while. Remember these. So these are 7-inch shears, and I kind of wanted to move on. After I had worked with these for a long time, I really wanted to move on from a longer shear because I felt like the issue that I was running into with this is it was just too big for me. It was just too big. It worked for what I needed it to for a while, but it just became too big for me. Size does matter for some people. So then the next two shears that I got were these guys. So this became my detailing shear, and this became my workhorse as far as a texturizer. And I also got them with a double tang. This way, because I like versatility. Who doesn't like versatility? So this way I can flip this around and hold it in really interesting ways. I saw someone online, Ira Pope Sage, and he was doing this really interesting feathering technique. I really wanted to learn how to do that, and in order to do that, I really needed a double tang, at least for my hands. So that's why I got these, because I wanted to do some like showboating. But Funny thing, I never got into figuring out how to feather the way he does. I should take a class from him because he's a genius. Um, and so that's where I got these from. But these are really nice too, just being able to hold them in a different way. With some of my other shears, like I just would not be able to hold them in so many different ways and also cut hair in a comfortable way. So that was these guys. And same thing with this one, double tang. These guys here, they don't actually remove a ton of weight. They look like they have really big teeth and they look like they would remove a ton of weight, but these are a little bit softer than these guys right here. A little bit softer. And the thing I like about having a double tang with these is that I can really, like, especially when I go around the ear here, I like to have the blade right up against so that I can have a little bit more control over cutting the hair around the ear. The one drawback that I would say with having a tang is that these screw on and off, and this should have a little washer on it. I don't know if you can see. It should have a little washer on it. I don't have one on it right now. I have extra, but that is one thing to ask your manufacturer if you do get a double tang like this, is to see if you can get extra washers and extra tangs. Usually they'll give them to you complimentary, especially if you're buying new shears, they're going to give you something complimentary. But it's nice to have extra tangs and it's nice to have extra washers because the washers are tiny little pieces of rubber and they do wear out. And if you don't have those on there, on your tangs, then your tangs will fall off and you'll lose them. And it is nice to have the support on both ends. I decided to splurge and get something that I wanted that was just, it was like a little bit of a scarier shear. I haven't quite discovered how I like to use this shear yet. I have had it for so long and I still have yet to discover how I like it. As we keep going through this channel, I will eventually on a mannequin do an entire haircut with this. And that's one thing that I would suggest with anybody is if you're really trying to get used to a pair of shears, get a mannequin or a client or a model that is open to something new and do an entire haircut with one pair of shears. Is it what I advise to do that all the time? No, but that is a really great way for you to get used to a pair of shears or a new pair of shears is to do an entire haircut with one pair of shears. Because then you learn different ways that you're going to be able to use it and different effects that you can get out of it. So from that point on, I ended up with these guys. This is we're getting near to the end of my journey with shears. So I got these guys. I love these. I love these especially for curly haircuts. I love these for short haircuts, for doing a little bit of texturing to really glide through. What these do is these push hair. These will push the hair. So when you're gliding, and that makes a huge difference between these two here. So as you're gliding, it will push the hair and it makes it way more comfortable for your guests because I have found with these guys that sometimes they will pull the hair. And I am all about comfort when it comes to clients. This is a great shear to have when it comes to slide cutting. The last two pair of shears that I got are both probably my most aggressive shears. There's this guy, removes a lot of weight really fast. And I don't really use these to remove a lot of weight because they remove so much weight that I would just not use them for that. Honestly, I use these as a 14 point cut. So I will just go along and point cut with these, and it really helps out. I love it. Or if I'm ever cutting a wig and I really need to remove a lot of hair, but I don't want to create a blunt line, I will take it and just open, close, open, close, open, close, and it will take out so much hair. And then lastly, these are these are not my workhorses. These are not my workhorses. These have done the fewest amount of haircuts because of how much work they can do with one slice. The way that these are designed are kind of like a paper cutter. You remember in school when they had like the paper cutters, you could put a huge stack of paper on there and you can just slice right through it and it gives you a perfect line every time. That's what these are like. So this is not a slide cutting scissor. This is absolutely not a slide cutting scissor. How these work is instead of pushing the hair, they actually suck the hair into the blade and create a solid cut. These are super awesome. These are my most expensive scissors. I do so much with these in so little amount of time. I use these for clients who have a lot of hair. I use these if I'm trying to create a really solid line because you're not going to get a more solid line with any other scissor than these. This is going to be the most crazy line. Yeah, I love these guys. So if you're new to hairstyling and you're looking to get a new pair of shears, I would just recommend get a really good detailer, you know, a really good detailing shear or something that you can work with that will help you learn how your body wants to work with a scissor. I realized that I wanted a lot of versatility with my scissor, and that's how I came to this. Now, when it comes to shear tightening, the way that I like to measure the correct tension on my scissor, if you don't know, the way that I do it is I hold it out to where the blade is creating 90 degrees, basically a perfect X if you hold it this way, and then I will drop. And you see how the blade stops halfway? It only closes halfway. That is what I'm looking for. And you'll feel it when your shear isn't working for you. Now, what will happen on either end is one, if your blade is too loose, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this would be way too loose. And what's going to happen when your scissor is too loose is it's just going to bend the hair. It's literally just going to bend the hair. So if you find that your scissor is bending the hair, it might be too loose. So just check it. And if it closes all the way, it is too loose. Your tension is not tight enough. If you go the other way and your scissor is too tight, so you see how it doesn't even get halfway up? If your scissor is too tight, what you're going to do is you're going to wear out the blade way faster. You're going to wear out that blade so fast because the metal is grinding up against itself every single time you open and close. And when that tension is so tight that it's like really grinding in there, you're just going to wear out your blade, and you're going to notice that the scissor is now breaking the hair rather than slicing the hair. And that's when you get, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but whenever you get those little white ends on the hair as you're cutting, that is you breaking the hair. That is not cutting the hair anymore. So if you start seeing that your scissors are creating white ends on your cuts, time to sharpen your scissors because it's just breaking the hair, it's not cutting the hair. So let me measure this again. It's too loose, that's going to bend the hair. We're going to go one tighter, and then perfect. That's how I like to manage the tension on my scissors. That is the tour through my shear collection. Like and follow. Tell me what your favorite scissor is, or if you have any questions. Keep following me for more cutting and color education.